I'm the Philosophical Bachelor, and today I'm going to look at A Compatible Libertarian Free Will by Christian List. Free will is important to people. Free will is at the heart of our self-conception, according to Christian List, central to how we understand who we are as agents capable of deliberating about our actions. It is also important for how society is organized, where its members take responsibility for their actions. In his 2019 book, Why Free Will is Real, List hence presents a defense of libertarianism but with a twist. However, the determinists have a strong case against free will. If cause and effect can only unfold according to the laws of nature, then how can an immaterial free will exist seemingly outside the order of nature? Such a view is grounded by a materialistic scientific worldview tracing back to Isaac Newton's formulation of his laws of mechanics in the 17th century. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity in the 20th century, while upsetting the Newtonian paradigm, is also deterministic. While detractors may argue that these theories only apply to the macro and cosmic scale, quantum mechanics, which also began in the 20th century, tells us about an indeterminacy at the quantum or subatomic level. Quantum indeterminacy is adopted by some free will proponents to argue against determinism. That, however, does not solve the problem, since indeterminism also undermines libertarian free will. If how we choose is random, then we also do not have control over our choices. Hence, quantum indeterminacy can only form part of an argument for free will, where to really be able to choose between genuine alternatives requires some uncertainty prior to the decision. Prominent libertarian philosopher Robert Kane has proposed some possible biological mechanisms where quantum indeterminacy may be amplified through the brain's thermodynamic inequilibrium as the underlying lower level process supervened by a higher level mental deliberation. This is not the tack List is taking in his book. According to List, both opponents and supporters of free will can agree that a being who has free will needs three properties, which are jointly necessary and sufficient. 1. Intentional agency, where the being has the ability to form goals and take action towards these goals. 2. Alternative possibilities, among which the agent can genuinely choose from. 3. Causal control, where the agent's mental state formed by her intentions is the cause of her choice. These three requirements of free will in turn face three challenges. 1. Intentional agency is challenged by radical materialism. 2. Alternative possibilities by determinism. And 3. Causal control by epiphenomenalism. In my opinion, determinism and epiphenomenalism are the corollaries of materialism. If one thinks that all that exists are material objects, and material objects obey the laws of nature mechanically, it leads to determinism where all effects can in principle be deduced from prior causes using the laws of nature. If all that exists are material objects, then there cannot be immaterial things, and hence whatever immaterial things we do experience, such as feelings and even thoughts, are epiphenomena, meaning they are not real phenomena or are reducible to material phenomena. For example, epiphenomenalists may claim that feelings of love are not real but are chemical interactions in the brain. It follows that there is no such thing as mental causation, because there are no immaterial things and hence no such thing as the mental. List's strategy to argue for the existence of free will is twofold. The first is that free will is a higher level phenomenon of psychology and not a lower level phenomenon of fundamental physics. Hence, free will and other human and social phenomena such as society and economy have to be understood at a higher level, since they cannot be understood at a lower one. This approach is novel because it removes the dependence on whether fundamental physics is deterministic or otherwise, hence making it compatibilist. If we are looking for free will at a physical level, we are simply looking in the wrong place, he asserts. To explain the laws of physics, such as those of Newton, Einstein, or quantum mechanics, is the work belonging to the level of fundamental physics. At that level, concepts like atoms, molecules, fields, and forces are captured in equations about physical systems. However, even to go one level higher to explain chemical and biological phenomena, we already have to go beyond the level of fundamental physics, beyond descriptions of elementary particles and forces to, for instance, cells and organs in biology, and chemical reactions and thermodynamics in chemistry. This is possible because cells and organisms all display patterns and regularities that can only be captured at another level of description, using a conceptual repertoire distinct from that of fundamental physics, writes Liss. Some higher level phenomena, such as acidity in chemistry, cannot be sufficiently described in fundamental physical terms alone. The concepts do not translate between the levels the way certain languages have words that do not translate to another language. Other concepts that do not translate to fundamental physics include cell division, genetic inheritance, or evolution, which are not adequately explained by referring to nothing but molecules, atoms, and other elementary particles. One reason is because a cell has trillions of atoms, and an organism billions or trillions of cells, making it computationally expensive. However, even if a sufficiently powerful computer can be built to handle the calculations, it will still not be able to explain the macroscopic phenomena. For instance, if we want to think at the level of molecules only, then how will we even be able to talk about objects like tables and chairs? Say it takes X number of carbon atoms, Y number of hydrogen atoms, and so on to form a chair. However, that same amount of atoms can also be used to form a table. So how do we differentiate the two if we only want to stick to the level of elementary particles? This multiple realizability also cuts the other way. For instance, a bookshelf can be made of metal or plastic, fulfilling its function of holding our books at a macroscopic level. But if we only look at collections of molecules of plastic or metal, both seem to point to different things, though for the purpose of holding our books, both are effectively the same thing, that is, a bookshelf, since they serve the same purpose or intention of holding our books. By insisting that the fundamental level of particles is the only level that exists, we will lose sight of the forest for the trees. In the case of conscious beings and free will, the higher level is the psychological, which describes thoughts and beliefs, preferences and desires, goals and intentions. Liss explains, what our ability to find freedom at that lower level shows is merely that free will is not a physical or neurophysiological phenomena. It does not show that it is unreal. Free will is not to be found in molecules or even the brain. However, it does not mean that higher level phenomena are not connected with the physical. Instead, higher level phenomena supervene on the physical. When a person acts, it is ultimately the result of some underlying physical process. Nonetheless, it does not make the higher level phenomena any less real. For instance, a higher level phenomenon such as the economy supervenes on lower level phenomena such as individual market participants, or taking it further, their molecules. Firstly, if we try to explain how the economy works by looking at the molecules of its participants, we will not understand how economic phenomena such as inflation or global trade works. Secondly, we do not deny that the economy is real, just like no reasonable person denies other higher levels such as chemistry, biology, the social sciences, or its phenomena such as tables and chairs as real. Higher level phenomena stand in regularities of their own and serve as cause and effects of other phenomena. If we did not recognize those regularities, we would be overlooking some significant aspects of the world, writes Liss. However, what does real mean? A phenomenon qualifies as real if recognizing its existence is explanatorily indispensable, replies Liss. This is in accordance with the naturalistic ontological attitude. Our best guide to any questions about which entities, properties, or phenomena exist in any given domain is to be found in our best scientific theories of that domain, provided that in scientific terms we have no special reasons to doubt those theories, he writes. Our best theories postulate the existence of economies, societies, tables, and chairs. and hence, according to the naturalistic ontological attitude, we have very good scientific reasons to treat them as real. This is the second prong of List's argument for the existence of free will. He will show how our best theories depend on or presuppose the existence of free will, such as our human and social science theories. In these theories, people are viewed as goal-directed agents whose actions are guided by their intentional mental states. Hence, List calls his view of free will compatibilist libertarianism or free will emergentism. It is libertarian because he is committed to the view that human beings have free will. It is compatibilist because it is compatible with determinism as well as indeterminism, indifferent to either, at least for the lower level phenomena. His view does not depend on whether lower level phenomena is deterministic or otherwise. His argument is that the higher level phenomena that is described by psychology, what he calls agental determinism, is not deterministic whatever the lower level may be. It is emergentist because from lower level phenomena like the collision of molecules can emerge higher level phenomena that are not reducible to the lower, such as the economy, society, and also free will. List does a great job at developing a triadic architecture on what is required for free will, but that is just good housekeeping on what is already in the literature. He next demonstrates how lower-level physical determinism can be compatible with higher-level agental indeterminism. This is something new that List brings to the free will debate. It depends on supervenience with multiple realizability. A particular mental state in an individual can have multiple realizations at the physical level. Say Richard has a mental state of anger. His neuronal pattern can be one particular way or a different one, both manifesting at a mental level as the same state of anger. At a higher psychological level, the two neuronal patterns are indistinguishable. In the same way, molecules in a pot of water may be arranged in multiple ways when the water is boiling. The macroscopic phenomena is that of boiling, but at a microscopic level, in each of the multiple ways, the molecules are moving differently. We observe the same macroscopic phenomena of boiling water even though at a microscopic level, the molecules are behaving differently. List demonstrates this compatibilism more abstractly with dots and branches on a graph, hence making it generalizable, but perhaps to make it more comprehensible, let's continue with our example of Richard. Say this state of anger he feels arose from his losing a bet. This state of anger he's experiencing is the same state of anger where he stubs his toe. Both physical phenomena, the lower level of stubbing his toe and losing a bet, lead to the same higher level psychological state of anger. In a physically deterministic world, his stubbing of his toe will bring its own subsequent sequence of events, say him screaming in frustration. His losing a bet will likewise bring its own sequence of events, say him moaning in sadness. But as explained, from the higher level mental state of anger, both physical phenomena of screaming or moaning are indistinguishable. His single mental state of anger leads him to two possible subsequent mental states, frustration or sadness, which supervenes on the physical screaming or moaning. One higher level occurrence has two possible higher level outcomes, making it indeterministic. This is because of the supervenience of the psychological level with multiple physical realizability. Hence, it has logically been shown that even if the physical lower level world is deterministic, the higher psychological level, the agental level, can be indeterministic. One defense that List makes of his compatibilist libertarian theory is that it is falsifiable. This is a strength since it is not just a theory that has no way to be ever empirically tested the way some theories are, such as Sigmund Freud's theory of dreams. Instead, it fulfills philosopher of science Karl Popper's criterion of falsifiability for differentiating between science, which is falsifiable, and pseudoscience, which is not falsifiable. If one day scientists discover empirically that higher level phenomena, as described by psychology, is determined, then List will have been shown to be wrong and will have to concede that there is indeed no such thing as free will. Meanwhile, this remains to be shown. List has created an architecture or general approach to thinking about free will. Extending it, he argues that free will is not just limited to human beings, but any being that meets the three requirements of intentional agency, alternative possibilities, and causal control. This means that some animals qualify since they are goal-directed, face choices, and act intentionally towards their goals. For instance, cats, dogs, and primates. While they may have a lower cognitive capability, they still fulfill the requirements and hence have free will, albeit a much more rudimentary one. While having free will is important to the issue of moral responsibility, to have the fitness to be held responsible requires not only free will but also the capacity for normative cognition, that is, to possess sufficient intellectual capability to be able to reason about what is right or wrong. It follows then that not just biological entities, but non-biological ones such as collectives, companies, organizations, and even countries are candidates for moral responsibility. They have intention in the form of goals, have alternative possibilities, and also can decide causally on their actions. Hence they, in Liss's book, have free will. They are also able to reason normatively through the collective reasoning of their members, or in the case of countries, the members' chosen representatives in the democratic polity, and hence have moral responsibility. The same theoretical architecture can be applied to machines and artificial intelligence. If AI ever gets to the point where it can meet the three requirements of intentional agency, alternative possibilities, and causal control, then it too can be considered to have free will. If in addition it has the capacity for normative cognition, then it has moral responsibility. In conclusion, Liss's strategy for the defense of compatibilist libertarianism is twofold. The first is that free will is a higher level phenomenon. Since higher level phenomena can be indeterministic even if the lower level is deterministic or otherwise, free will is compatible with fundamental physics. The second is that our best theories rely on the existence of higher level entities not explainable by the lower level. The naturalistic ontological attitude specifies that a reasonable way to reason on what exists is to take the entities postulated by our best theories to be real. Our best theories demonstrate that we need to rely on a higher level in order to have explanatory power. Our best human and social sciences theories also depend on or presuppose the existence of free will. Hence, free will is compatible with fundamental physics and is real. Thank you for listening to the Philosophical Bachelor.